Venezuela's recent movements are unusual. This is because the territorial dispute with the neighboring country Guyana is in full swing. On December 3rd, Venezuela unilaterally held a referendum to annex Guyana's Essequibo region. A rather absurd vote was held to claim another country's territory as its own and ask the people's pros and cons about this. The Essequibo occupy more than 2/3 of Guyana's total land area and are home to more than 1/6 of the population. On December 1st last year, 2 days before the vote, the International Court of Justice warned Venezuela not to take any steps to modify the status quo in the territory under Guyana's de facto control. However, Venezuela pushed it ahead with the vote, and although the exact voter turnout was not disclosed, the Venezuelan government claimed that 95% of the votes were in favor. In response, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro said it was a historic and unprecedented election. In addition, Venezuela is putting military pressure on the country by increasing the deployment of military forces in the border area. The biggest reason for the territorial dispute between Venezuela and Guyana is the oil field discovered in 2015. Guyana's oil and gas reserves are estimated at 11 billion barrels, a huge amount that puts it in the top 20 in the world. Some are even concerned that a third front may be created in South America, following Ukraine and the Middle East. So, let's find out what kind of country Guyana is, and why it has a territorial dispute with Venezuela. Guyana is located on the northeastern tip of the South American continent and borders Venezuela, Brazil, and Suriname. It has an area of about 250,000 square kilometers and a population of only about 800,000. Until 2015, it was a poor country in South America, with a GDP per capita of less than $6,000. However, the reason why there are recent rosy predictions that Guyana will become the richest country among South American countries is because of its oil field, which is called black gold. ExxonMobil, the largest oil company in the United States, discovered a large oil field option near Essequibo, located west of Guyana, in 2015. As a result of exploration, it is estimated that there are at least 11 billion barrels of crude oil buried in this area. It may seem like a small amount compared to Venezuela's reserves of 300 billion barrels, but it is said to be a significant amount that ranks among the top 20 in the world. Considering Guyana's small population, it is estimated that per capita crude oil production will far exceed that of major producing countries, including the Middle East. In addition, Venezuela's crude oil is intermediate crude that requires high-level processing, while Guyana's crude oil is light crude with high economic viability. The poorest country in South America has hit a huge jackpot with the discovery of crude oil. In fact, rapid growth can be confirmed through various figures, and the International Monetary Fund (IMF) predicted Guyana's economic growth rate to grow by 38.4% in 2023. What is surprising is that this economic growth forecast is much lower than the previous growth rate. In 2022, Guyana's economic growth rate was a whopping 62%, ranking first in growth rate among countries in the world. Some foreign media predicted that Guyana's economics will continue this rapid growth for the time being. Like this, the oil fields in the Essequibo region were like a lottery jackpot for Guyana, but the problem is that the neighboring country, Venezuela, has recently been strongly claiming sovereignty over them. If so, Venezuela claims sovereignty over this region, but the beginnings of this dispute must go back to the distant past. In the 19th century, Venezuela and Guyana were colonies of Spain and the Netherlands, respectively. At that time, the great powers granted independence to Venezuela and Guyana without clearly defining their borders. In the past, the entities that determined the border were three countries: the United States, the United Kingdom, and Russia, which replaced Venezuela. They began to claim that the previous decision was invalid, claiming that it was a coerced decision by imperialism. Ultimately, the two countries signed the Geneva Convention in 1966 and agreed to delegate border issues to the United Nations. And that year, Guyana became independent from Britain. However, Venezuela argued that the Geneva Agreement required renegotiation, citing the fact that Guyana was a British colony at the time of the border's establishment. However, Guyana refuted it, saying that of course, it should follow the arbitration of the International Arbitration Court of 1899. The international community also recognizes the current border, demarcating the Essequibo region as Guyana territory, according to the decision of the Arbitration Court. Nevertheless, Venezuela's opposition continued, and the conflict seemed to stop for a while as the international community intervened. However, with the discovery of oil fields in this area, the border dispute ignited again, and the situation has recently intensified. As there were signs that the conflict would intensify following Venezuela's referendum, additional armored vehicles were deployed to the border area between the two countries. Meanwhile, some Western countries have expressed support for Guyana. Some are paying attention to whether the United States will impose sanctions on Venezuela again due to this situation. The United States has relaxed the trade in natural resources from Venezuela, which had been virtually completely banned since 2019 for 6 months from October 2023. However, Venezuela recently strongly asserted its sovereignty over the Guyanese Essequibo and notified foreign companies to leave the disputed area. American companies have stakes in the oil fields in this area, and ExxonMobil, which first discovered the oil fields, produces more than 600,000 barrels of oil per day from the area. However, ExxonMobil is looking to significantly increase production within a few years and has also acquired a 30% stake in another U.S. oil company, Chevron. The interests of several major powers are also clashing, with the United States and the United Kingdom siding with Guyana and Russia supporting Venezuela. It is a complex territorial dispute involving two countries and major powers, with oil, politics, and history intertwined for over a century. First, the leaders of the two countries met on December 14th last year and agreed to refrain from direct or indirect threats or use of force against each other. However, the gap between their positions has not narrowed, making a solution to the territorial conflict seem unlikely. It remains to be seen how the complex issue involving territory, oil, and human greed will be resolved in the future. Thank you for watching. This is Tony.